Hey, what's up? It's Stefs Rock Show on Spotify. We're back with the one and only, the best bass player in the world, David Ellefson. Thanks for coming by.
How you doing, Steph? What's happening?
Good. So I was just thinking, I interviewed you when I was working in Austin, Texas at 101X in like 2012. And I only lived in Austin for a year, and you were by far the coolest interview that I got to do.
Awesome.
So thank you so much. That was like the best Texas interview of my life. And I was like, no way, this is, and the
Let's
wildest.
see if we can do a 2.0 now.
I like it. That was the wildest mosh pit I've ever been in. And I don't do a lot of mosh pits anymore. I'm too old for them. But that mosh pit at Megadeth in Austin, Texas was extreme.
Was that at Austin City Limits? Is
Yeah.
that what that was? Yeah. I remember that.
So it was a
They had like
how have you been?
The little Willie Nelson smoke deck off of the dressing room upstairs, right? It's kind of like his personal loft. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's been 12 years. What's happening?
A bunch. I just got home from Europe and UK. I was just over there with Kings of Thrash. We did our UK, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland tour that we did there. And then we went right over to Europe after that. And I had my other band, Dieth, join us. So I did double duty. I played bass with Dieth and then had a break while our support act, Andrew, played. And then I changed my shirt and my shoes and went back out and played Kings of Thrash. So we did 12 shows in a row. So I literally played 24 concerts in 12 days right in a row. And
do you sleep ever? Do you ever take a break?
I sleep in between the concerts. Little bit, No, I'm good. In fact, it was fun doing it because, what I realized is pretty much, so once Dieth would, because, you kind of sound check in reverse, right? So Kings of Thrash first, then Andrew, and Dieth. And once we sound checked, it was pretty much like, okay, once we're done, doors open and then put on the black clothes and black bass and go play Dieth songs, right? And it was fun because I got to kind of get comfortable with the stage, comfortable with the room. I kind of knew the audience a little bit. And so then when I would come back out, and so that was like a 40-minute show. And then when I'd come back out, an hour later, for Kings of Thrash, maybe hour 15. I kind of already knew the audience. I kind of knew the room. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if some of them knew it was me 2 times. I don't know if they knew that or not. But
I'm sure people recognized you.
They probably did. Yeah, I was like, hey, it's me again. But silver bass, blue jeans, and a different T-shirt, and I was like, hey, is that guy? Yeah, I think that's that guy again.
One guy.
Yeah, it was fun, to do it. And 2 different songs, obviously 2 different set lists, 2 different things. So it was fun for me to kind of like have the experience twice in the evening. And it was, honestly, it was kind of invigorating. It didn't wear me out at all. In fact, I think it gave me more energy and got me more pumped up.
You've got more energy than most people I know. I don't know if people are doing 2 sets in one night. That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I turned 60 somewhere, and I was like, I swear 60 feels like 40 or 38 or something. I don't know.
You're aging in reverse. You know what I mean? That's I'm doing that too. It's fine. We're not getting older.
That's how it's supposed to go. Exactly. Yeah, we're returning back to the fountain of youth, so we're good.
Yes. So you've got the Bass Warrior Tour. I know you're going over to Italy, France, Poland. You got to give America some love too, but when does the Bass Warrior Tour take off?
Yeah, so Bass Warrior kicks off early March, and that's a little bit of a different thing. My solo band is out of Italy. Annie Martingelli's my buddy, my musical compadre there, and so we have a whole operation there, that stems out of Italy, and so that'll be pretty much the month of March. And, I did one last year. It was super successful. It was very cool. And I can do a little bit of some storytelling. I mean, that thing kind of spun out of something I did before called Bass Story, which was sort of my performance clinic-ish storyteller. You know what I mean? And because most of my clinics even turn into more storyteller stuff, because I think my fans are less interested in, how do you play a G chord and a C minor scale. they're less interested in that. They want to hear rock star stories, you know, and cool
Yeah.
stuff, you know. So I'm pretty good at that. I got a lot of years of those stories. So, you know, for me, I like that. To me, those are the fun. As a fan myself, when I go see my heroes, you know, when I went to the Kiss sound check party, you know, that my friend invited me to, it's like I wanted to hear stories and see songs they didn't play in the show, you know. So I'm a fan myself. So
Yeah.
you know, I kind of try to give to my fans what I, as a fan, would want to see as well. So, you know, Bass Warrior kind of combines a little bit of all that. It's a different set list than what I do with Kings of Thrash. I play some of the stuff that I did, the record that I did with Jeff Scott Soto, some of my solo stuff. Like I just put out a song just like a week and a half ago with my band under the Ellefson name, and we did a cover of Judas Priest Metal Gods, and we had James Durbin sing on it, and he was the American Idol contestant who sang with Judas Priest on
I
the
saw
show.
that. And
Yeah,
I was like, that's neat. Why have you been friends with Judas for a while? Like, are you
long
just
time. You know,
okay.
they're one of my, like, they're really the metal band that got me into metal. When I first heard Unleashed in the East, their live album back in, I think came out in 78. I guess I probably heard it around 80, 81, somewhere in 81 probably, you know. And I heard that, I mean, that was like, okay, so that's what heavy metal is, right? You know, like
Yeah.
I knew, you know, kind of American hard rock, you know, Kiss, Boston, Aerosmith, Ted Nugent's, you know, even Rush, I guess, Canadian, you know. So I knew hard rock, but when I heard Unleashed in the East, I'm like, oh, next level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and then after that would be Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and, you know, kind of the new wave of British heavy metal. So, you know, we first toured with Priest in 1990 on the Rust in Peace tour. They just put out Painkiller. We just put out Rust in Peace. So we did a whole North American spin with them, as well as Rock in Rio. And yeah, then I've been friends with them since. We've done a lot of shows together. You know, me and KK Downing have remained dear friends, and we did a show back in 2019 over at his KK Steel Mill, which, you know, ultimately was the spark that caused the flame now called KK's Priest. You know, from there,
Yeah.
he really got serious about putting his own new band together, which he did, and Dieth, we just did some shows with KK. He invited us over to do some shows in Europe back in July this year. So
I got to see Judas Priest.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I love Judas Priest. I got to see them on that metal show back on VH1 with Eddie Trunk. You know, it was a show back in the day. And then recently on Aftershock. But, you know, you were saying the wild stories. I'm a fan too. That's why I got into radio, to hear the wild stories. But what really interested me about you before I went to interview you is to figure out like religion and how involved you were in the church. And you don't meet a lot of people that are engulfed in metal that even know scripture or kind of know the Bible. So that really interests me. Is that still play a factor in your life?
Well, it's funny, you know, I have my little daily devotion here next to my computer, you know. So
nice.
Yeah, you know, in the morning, you know, look, I grew up a Lutheran kid, right? So nothing fanatical. I mean, I didn't have this sort of, you know, as we would know it today, kind of this evangelical born again kind of thing. You know, that was not my experience. You know, I grew up in the Midwest farming community, you know, and everybody worked 6 days a week, and then Sunday they took off, they went to church. I mean, that's just what it was, you know.
Yeah.
So that was just how I was raised, and there was nothing fanatical by any means, you know. But you know, it was around. And so when I moved to, well, really once I started drinking at age 15, that was the end of any real interest in church, you know. And then I moved to Hollywood at age 18. It was like, yeah, we're definitely done with the church thing. And you know, Hollywood, California is a very different melting pot of a lot of different stuff. And wild. You know, whatever, you know, it's funny. My pastor even did a study, you know, or gave to the congregation a study that, you know, from about age 16 to 26 is, you know, people kind of check out of church. You know what I mean? It's just that's when we're kind of off on our own, finding our own way, you know. So I guess I probably kind of fit the model, you know. And then you know, I got sober back in, you know, when I was 25 in 1990, and you know, that trajectory out of the drug and alcohol lifestyle back into sobriety, that's what really kind of brought me back to going, oh, all right, yeah, I guess the church thing ain't so bad, you know. And and then it was just kind of an easy thing to sort of bring back into my life, especially once you start having a family. You're kind of like, all right, well, what's sort of the barometer of, right, wrong, where are the rules here, for raising your kids. So, that's my story, and it was just always kind of a background story until I wrote my memoir, My Life with Death, and my co-author, Joel MacGyver, when we were writing it, I had just gone back to Megadeth in 2010, and, Dave was writing a book, his memoir was coming out, and Joel hit me right away. And he said, listen, you need to tell your story because you and Dave are the bookends of the Megadeth story, and he said, this would be a great time, for you to tell your story. And as I was writing it, I was like, all right, well, I don't want like some religious story because that's not really my life. I'm a rock and roller, and, but I was raised around it. It's funny. I see my T-shirt, Sun Records. I watch all these Elvis documentaries, these Elvis movies,
and that was Elvis a big fan.
My mom was a huge Elvis fan. Like she was actually in the Elvis mosh pit back in like Des Moines, Iowa. At one of his very. It was an early show. When he first went on tour. The guitar player Scotty Moore has a great website, and he's detailed every performance he's ever done, including all the Elvis ones. So my mom went to go see Elvis. The first time she saw him was in Des Moines, Iowa, at Vets Auditorium, which I've also played, in my career. And there weren't very many people there. There's maybe and she told me, she said there weren't many people. And I see the picture on Scotty's website. There's maybe 1,000 people, this big auditorium. Yeah. And she got Elvis's scarf, from the stage, and so she was very supportive of me in my music career because she scratched the itch of what rock and roll, felt like, when it was new. Obviously the Elvis era. I mean, he was really the first real rock star, at least from America, and so she got it. Yeah, she knew. I remember when we opened for Alice Cooper back in '87. In St. Paul, I helped her go down into the barricade area. And she got, Alice was killing something or beheading something, and some blood splattered on my mom, and she was so excited, like, "Oh my God, I got Alice's blood on me!" Okay,
so. I love your mom because I'm that. So my sons are Bowie and Hendrix, and they're playing music. So I want them to be rock stars and be in bands, and I am all about like getting them in the mosh pits and getting them near stage. So I think it's important. Your mom's a good influence on you to, she might have rubbed off on you to then get in the music industry.
Yeah, my dad was the business guy, so he understood the business. My mom was the heart and soul, and as far as, and she had the musical talent for sure, and she, her records, that she had around the house are things that I would listen to. And it's funny, when I'd get in the car with my mom, I get in the car with my dad, he'd turn the radio down. I'd get in the car with my mom, we'd turn it up,
Yeah.
That's sort of
me.
defines it,
I'm like the dad. I'm the divorced dad. Rock is like my genre now. And I'm like the bad kind of naughtier parent that wants the loud music. And I want them to practice really loudly in the garage. I love all that. And then it's funny. They go to dads and they're like, it's so boring. We have to be quiet. And I'm like, it's okay. It's good to have both.
Kids want to rock, as Bryan Adams says,
Yeah. So, okay. I'm going down to NAMM this year in January. Are you going to go down to NAMM? If so, like, what are you doing?
Yes. So Ellefson Coffee Company, we are NAMM members, have been now for a few years. So we are going to exhibit again this year. And we got a pretty cool little thing. Us, Riot Stitch Clothing will be next to us. Lisa Johnson, who's done these really great books of rock star guitars. So there's like a nice rock and roll alleyway there. I think it's Hall D. I don't have the booth number off the top of my head, but yeah, that's basically what we're doing now, is making all the preparations heading into NAMM.
Sweet.
And then of course, Metal Allegiance. What's that?
Can we sample the coffee at
NAMM?
NAMM?
Yeah, we can't sell it, because they already have deals, with the the catering, the vendors there. But so we can give it away, which we do. And it smells great. We always get a nice line of people hanging out, and
okay,
so
good.
we'll have artists come over and hang out, and so it's fun. It's kind of old school NAMM, as NAMM is kind of coming back, and they're sort of, NAMM's mindset is sort of, let's do the new NAMM, and I like that, and for me to be there as an artist as well as an entrepreneur, it's not quite a Comic-Con, but it's not quite the old NAMM either. It's somewhere in between. It's sort of kind of rewriting the rules and inventing new ways to do things, and And so NAMM's kind of their sort of their core focus is always music education. So I'm always glad to be a part of that, having written a music business book and stuff like that. So, there's that. Metal Allegiance, we play Thursday night. I think it's the 23rd January over at the House of Blues there in Anaheim. So that's always kind of the anchor metal gig.
Yeah.
To do that, kind of kick it off. And this year NAMM is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's no Sunday. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just
Okay.
FYI.
Yeah.
So, at least that's what I've been told. So So it's no, it's good. I like NAMM. NAMM has always been sort of the place on the planet where we all migrate. We do our pilgrimage to Anaheim, and that's where our tribe meets. That's where
it's like the metal music nerds, and like all of us that know maybe too much could do a Jeopardy about metal music, and then the famous musicians and artists themselves are down there. So it's a really neat networking. It's almost like I love music festivals too, because it's so many people I haven't seen for years coming together, and it's easier to interview a bunch in one spot, even though it's kind of crazy.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Do we have any more books? What, your second book, More Life with Death? Do we have a third book possibly?
So I have My Life with Death. I have More Life with Death that I wrote in 2018. I think is when I think it came out in 2019 actually.
Yeah.
And so we put that out, and then I figured at some point I'll do My Life After Death. But
that's great. Yeah.
I either have to live a little more or die first. I don't know which one.
Okay, live a little more. Don't die. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David, for taking time out of your day and stopping by Spotify with Stef's Rock Show. Again, every 14 years, we're going to have to do this. Okay.
It's a deal. It's a deal.
Okay. In another 14 years, I'll hit up your manager. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Steph. See you. Bye.
Bye.